Many people ask themselves what their first step should be when creating a world for their TTRPG campaign, for their books, or just for fun. My answer to that is simple. Begin with a small region, as a region is the core of how people will interact with your world. A region allows you to go enough into detail without losing yourself in stuff nobody will ever interact with. A region allows you to create the first people of your world and the environment they live in. A region allows you to focus on the core ideas of your setting without losing yourself on plate tectonics and other less important stuff. And in this video I'll pose you 3 questions you need to have in mind when creating not only your first region in your setting, but any future region you might want to world build. Before we get into the questions, you have to be clear about the directions you want to take. You need a first idea of the aesthetics your future people will take, so you can create a region that perfectly suits their needs. The region and the people living in the region should be created simultaneously, to at least the most basic extent, so you can focus on the details of each later. Question 1. What is the geography, the flora and fauna of your region like? To be more precise, think about the environment the culture and people you are creating might live in. Think about the threats they are facing day by day, and what their means of survival are. The region should be populated with the animals they feed off, the crops they farm, the herbs they gather, the woods they clear, the rivers, rocks and mountains they might have to live with. And you might think of everything else your region might have to offer. This also implies, of course, the magical twist to your world building. If there are mischievous woodland fairies or a tribe of kobolds that are roaming around the woods, there's usually a way your people deal with the hazard, no matter if through diplomacy or more hostile means. These material conditions define the nature of your culture, their general quirks, their ethics, and their regulations. But at the same time, it defines the way they live and how they earn their bread. Question 2. What are the people who live in your region like? This is the most important question, as it truly brings your region to life. The people are what your players in an RPG or your readers when writing a book will come to contact with the most. Like I said, you don't have to flesh them out to the most intricate detail, but think about some basics which can be easily derived from the geography of the region. Think about their means of sustenance. Are they farming crops? Are they hunters, gatherers, maybe fishers, or a mix of these? Think about their clothing. Do they wear thick furs or light cloths, depending on the region's climate? Think about the broad strokes of their soft culture, the way they behave, a few of their customs and rites. And I assume that the people in your region won't be the only ones around. Think about their connections to the outside. Think about the trade they might conduct, what they might export and import. You don't have to create a deep list of trade goods. It just helps you to think about their industry. Maybe they are famous smiths, but their mines ran dry, thus they require to import iron from the outside. At the same time, think about the interests what other peoples might have in your region. This can range from traders, from industrialists, from monster hunters, over fantasy beings like orc tribes that threatens the region. And with that, think about the hierarchy the people in your region have. It's fine enough if you want to keep that simple for now. Just think about a one-liner or something. There might be a count who's lording over your region, who in turn is a vassal of the king. If you want to go into more detail, you might be interested in 2 of my videos. One about the local government of a region and another about a larger state government. They are heavily civilization focused, but they just as well work with a dragon as the local lord or some other magical creature. Question 3. What are the landmarks of your region? What are the sites other people might be interested to visit and see? Maybe forgotten places nobody has stepped into for millennia. And if you are creating a magical world, think about the magics of your region beyond the daily threats your people might face. There might be a powerful hag, who's keeping the local population healthy in exchange for human meat. There might be a powerful dragon who has its hoard in the region and demands regular tribute. There might be a fae who's saving people from cold winter nights as long as she gets what she desires most. You can go ham here. I wouldn't fill your region with everything possible, but you do you. And think about how these landmarks and these creatures might affect the people's lives. The entrance of a magic-rich old forgotten tomb might have become a ritual site for your people, while they are sacrificing for the fae I mentioned earlier. I lied. I have question 4. I wasn't sure if this deserved its extra question before, since I mentioned it more or less in every question by now. But think about the threats your region is facing, or at least the conflict within the region. It could be environmental, geographical, or through fauna and flora. It could be a threat of 2 kingdoms who are interested in the region's resources. It could be the fae and the hag, who settled their differences and now dunk on the region's villagers together. Every region faces some sort of threat. It might be an idyllic piece of land, but even there can be dangers and threats to face. Even the Shire had its family quarrels between the Baggins and the Sackville Baggins, and well, in the books, the Shire got attacked after all. Some people might know the region I'll be presenting, the Grom's Lake and its surrounding valleys. The region is alpine, the winters are cold and the summers are mild. The high altitudes ensure that dense conifer forests flow into alpine pastures. The entire region is riddled with cow pastures, but its wild fauna is way more vicious and dangerous. Terrible predators roam the woods, ranging from simple wolf packs over owlbears to far more monstrous creatures like the Schlingenwurz, whose craving for a certain set of magical herbs that grow in these woods is insatiable. Besides the cows, the people have a rich supply of game, rare and less rare herbs to pluck, wild berries and more bountiful gifts of nature. And these people are the Grom's folk. They aren't the only people in the region, as there are also a bunch of woodcutter companies who have the permission to settle and bring woods down the river, as well as a wizard and his apprentices, but the majority are the Grom's folk. These Grom's folk are a rustic, traditional people. They are a collection of tribes who are said to be the descendants of the folk hero Grom, who defeated the king of the giants. The Grom's folk are well-known monster and bounty hunters, trained by the hostile nature of the woods surrounding their villages. They wear a mixture of pelts on top of more sophisticated cloths, while they are again protected by workers' clothes, usually. Besides their many cows, they feed off their crops and the meat hauled from their monster hunts. After every big hunt, they throw a festival where all villagers gather to conduct a ritual of blessing. The Grom's folk are direct vassals of the king of Norigmas-Losnik, with special self-governing rights, in exchange for their everlasting loyalty and service in war. However, the lord of the neighboring region, who has jurisdiction over the non-Grom's folk in the Grom's Lake region, has an everlasting quarrel with the Grom's folk's leaders. And the king doesn't care at all. The region has 2 major landmarks, so to speak. First of all, the Grom's Lake itself, which is the connecting landmark between the different villages and towns, as there are no roads connecting them. And the Grom's Lake is the point where the Grom's Creek turns into the Grom's River, one of the largest rivers on the continent. The other is the river's spring, which is also the tomb of the hero the river is named after. It's a powerful, mythological place. Only a few are allowed to enter. The Grom's folk conduct their druidic rituals in front of the tomb, and pilgrims, especially strong fighters and mercenaries, come to its entrance to ask for a blessing of power and strength. Magically, there are countless of creatures, from fairies to gnomes, but also a dragon who sleeps in the mountains, protected by a flock of kobolds who are swarming out to steal ever more treasure. But for the Grom's folk, a certain hag and a certain fairy are the most dangerous, as both ask for a lot for their services. That's it for today's video, world builders. I hope you liked this remake of my second video. It might be only a year old, but I did improve my quality at least somewhat in that year. Also, by the way, my channel exists a whole year. Yay! I'm grateful for all of you, and I'm definitely gonna stick around for another year at least. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to share it, like, and leave a comment about your world's region. It really helps a lot. See ya!